Hello everyone and welcome to another video. This one I'm going to talk about 5 books that I have discovered on the internet that I want to look more into. These are books that feature a monster of zombies. I am finding I do like books with zombies. Not quite my favorite monster yet. I still prefer the vampires, but I will never say no to a good zombie book. So I do have 5 books that I want to read. I will mention a 6th as well, but I'll mention like the series. But we'll get to that one later. And this is, that series is one that I've already started, but I'll save that one for last. So let's go ahead and get into this. So 5 books that I want to read that have zombies. Some of these I don't have a lot of description for, and that's okay. The first one I'm going to say is a horror novel. I am finding that with a lot of zombie books, they're horror or post-apocalyptic was the main driving genres, so to speak. This one is horror. It does not tell me what the age range is. I am going to assume it's adult. I could be wrong on that, but I'm assuming adult. Anytime an age range is not specified, I generally start with the assumption that it's an adult. Anyway, book number 1 is a horror and it's called World War Z, and this is by Max Brooks. I have heard of World War Z, but not in the basis of that it's a book. So I've heard the words World War Z, but I did not know that it was a horror novel. So this one, I think Max Brooks, and I have to look into this one, I'm thinking Max Brooks is kind of a situation where it's similar to The Princess Bride, where the Max Brooks author is fictional. I might be wrong on that. If you have read World War Z, let me know. The reason why I say this is it seems like it's kind of like it's being delivered like it's a nonfiction, like a biography or a memoir, but it is not. This is a fictional horror book. So, and we're following the perspective of Max Brooks, the author, as he gives personal accounts, and I think he even talks to other people about what their experience has been like going through this World War Z during this zombie war that pretty much basically almost ended humanity. So that's kind of why I think the Max Brooks character is fiction. I do need to look into that more, but I'm leaning towards that. Book number 2 is called Dawn of the Dreadfuls, and this is by Steve Hockensmith. This one is the start of a series. This is actually kind of like a prequel, Dawn of the Dreadfuls. This is book number 0.5 out of 2 books. So you have 0.5 and then book 1 and then book 2. And this is the Pride and Prejudice and Zombies series. This one is a horror, and this one Steve is basically taking Pride and Prejudice and just kind of retelling it, but it's going to be very close to Pride and Prejudice, but it's going to be in the form of that the Bennett sisters are zombie killers. So yeah, it says that they're the Bennett sisters. In the prequel, it says the Bennett sisters, they're basically living their life, but then there's this funeral that takes place locally, and the dead does not stay dead. So the corpses start to rise from the earth, and so they become zombie killers or zombie slayers. And so you're just following as they hone their skills and start killing zombies. So yeah, and there's that one. Not much to say about that one. Number 3, I've seen around, I've heard a few people mention this, but I don't know if they've liked it or not, but I am intrigued enough to pick it up, and it's called Alice in Zombieland. So it's an Alice in Wonderland retelling. So Alice in Zombieland, and this is by Gena Showalter. This is the White Rabbit Chronicles, and the Alice in Zombieland is book number 1 out of 4. And this one is a young adult fantasy. So in this one, we're following Alice. Basically, something has happened to her family and she wants to avenge her family. That's a big thing. She wants to basically, I guess, what I'm getting from the synopsis is something happened between her family and the Walking Dead. And so in an effort to avenge her family, she wants to make it so that the Walking Dead stay dead. Send them back to their grave permanently. That's all I know. Okay. Let's see. I'm going to save this one. So let's move on. What I would have said number 5, I'm going to actually say this is number 4. Married with Zombies by Jesse Petersen. When I first read this, my mind immediately went to the Married with Children TV sitcom. Never really liked that one, but Married with Zombies. So this one is an adult horror. This is part of a series, and it's Living with the Dead, number 1 out of 4. So Married with Zombies, and this one we're following Sarah and David, and they are on the verge of divorce. So they start going to a couples counseling, and they're working on things, and then they meet up, and the street that they go to their counselor seems eerily quiet. They go into their counselor's office and find that their counselor is ripping out the throat of a prior client. Hence, they now need to survive and rely more on each other. I don't know if they'll be able to rebuild their marriage and save it from divorce during this zombie apocalypse type of a situation. But they need to rely on each other to try and survive. So, yeah, there's that one. Okay, now, these last 2 books, I'm going to pull up this one because I literally need to read the synopsis. I could not summarize the synopsis. Let me get this light up. Let's see. My life as a white... Here we go. Nope. Okay. So this one is part of a series. I'm going to give you the title in a second because I liked it. There's 6 books in the series, and this is an adult urban fantasy. And the series is by Diana Rowland. It's the White Trash Zombie series. So book number 1 is called My Life as a White Trash Zombie. I am going to read the synopsis. It's not too bad. And you'll get why I felt like I needed to read this. Okay, Angel Crawford is a loser. Living with her alcoholic, deadbeat dad in the swamps of southern Louisiana, she's a high school dropout with a pill habit and a criminal record who's been fired from more crap jobs than she can count. Now on probation for a felony, it seems that Angel will never pull herself out of the downward spiral her life has taken. That is, until the day she wakes up in the ER after overdosing on painkillers. So, trigger warning for that. Angel remembers being in a horrible car crash, but she doesn't have a mark on her. To add to the weirdness, she receives an anonymous letter telling her there's a job waiting for her at the parish morgue, and that it's an offer she doesn't dare refuse. Before she knows it, she's dealing with a huge crush on a certain hunky deputy and a brand new addiction, an overpowering craving for brains. Plus, her morgue is filling up with the victims of a serial killer who decapitates its prey just when she's hungriest. Angel's going to have to grow up fast if she wants to keep this job and stay in one piece, because if she doesn't, she's dead meat. Literally. Yeah, I could not do that synopsis justice. So there's that. So that's the 5 books that I want to read that have zombies. Now I did mention that I want to mention another one, and this is, I do have this series. I'm currently reading Rise, and this is a collection of novellas by Mira Grant, who is a pen name for Shannon McGuire. This collection of novellas, I have like 20 pages left of the first one, which is like book 0.25 or 0.5 in the Newsflesh series. There are 4 books out. The first one is called Feed. So basically what happens is there is this, I guess virus is the best word, but it's basically made it so that the common cold and other sicknesses do not exist anymore. No one gets typically sick, but if someone dies, there is a high chance they will basically rise from the dead and become a zombie. And this zombie virus is basically very contagious. If you get scratched, spit upon, bitten, anything like that, then you will turn into a zombie. And you watch in the first one, you can actually see the person's brain deteriorate as far as like their thinking goes. You can see the deterioration process as they turn from human to zombie. Sometimes they don't even have to die, they're just transformed into a zombie. So they die, but they're not like down on the ground dead type of a thing. You do see that transformation. Again, this is a collection of short stories and novellas. So I think the first two in this book take place before the actual book feed. And then the second one is Deadline. And then Blackout is book number 3 in the series. And then you have a collection of novellas, like 3 or 4 that take place after that book, but before the 4th book in the series. So yeah, Newsflesh is the series by Mira Grant. This one's just, Rise is just a collection of short stories. So I'm going to read the first one and then hopefully get to the second book in the series, because I really did enjoy that. And Newsflesh is kind of a take on, you have these two people that kind of, this brother and sister duo that report on this presidential election where people are turning into zombies, and obviously there are other news affiliations that want to be the number one. But anyway, I like this series, so I do highly recommend, if you want a good zombie story, the Newsflesh by Mira Grant is definitely a good place to start as well. So those are the books that I want to read, or in the Newsflesh one continue, that contain zombies. So I'll list these books and the authors in the description box along with my social media information. So until next time, stay true to yourself and enjoy a good book. And I'll talk to you later.